around the studio, so I'm going to be relieving him, and we're going to have a good time. I got a lot of stuff to talk about because first off, we are in the full swing of the beginning of baseball season. I've never had this many Braves opinions since I've been on the air because the Braves haven't been good in my entire time on the air. It's just they haven't been good. They've either been terrible or rebuilding, and now they're reaching the point in their rebuild where they're pretty good. They're pretty decent and fun to talk about and actually entertaining to watch. And I do wonder how much they can keep up of this. Right. So we want to talk about that. I do want to talk about the Masters. So I want to start there because it was exciting. It was fun. We found a new guy in golf to figure out whether or not we like him or not. He is a champion now. Patrick Reed, now owning the green jacket. And I'm not going to lie to you. Every time I watch a major tournament, it feels like lately, I have to find a new guy. There's a new guy that pops up, and I have to do research on who the guy is, right? I had to go through this last year with the U.S. Open. Brooks Koepka wins the U.S. Open. And it's not like Brooks Koepka is bad, right? I just didn't know who Brooks Koepka was. And I had to go look up who Brooks Koepka was so I could talk about him, right? Because I didn't know what it was that I was looking at. Same thing is happening here with Patrick Reed. I was a little bit familiar with him. He was really good on the Ryder Cup, and that's where he earned his nickname, Captain America, because of just how well he's played in those Ryder Cup tournaments. He's a very good golfer. You can tell that he's a complete golfer, and it's not one of those situations where the golf course is suited to him. I think you have to be a very good golfer and a well-rounded golfer to have any kind of success at Augusta. But where I find Patrick Reed's breakout to be somewhat improbable is simply because, again, I look at all the handicapping of these tournaments. When we were all handicapping this, Patrick Reed's name never came up. We never know which one of these guys is going to emerge in a major tournament. And I think that this is actually a problem for golf. Tiger Woods was golf's star for the longest time. People didn't watch golf and they knew who Tiger Woods was. And I don't know if we're going to have another one of those. But Patrick Reed could be close. Patrick Reed could do that because of his personality. But I think the fact that golf has a number of these guys winning majors, they're feel-good stories. You know you want these guys to win majors. Like Sergio Garcia finally won last year. That's huge. I mean, Sergio Garcia has been good for so long, and he hadn't won a major in his entire career up until that Masters last year. So you feel really good for guys like that. You feel really good for guys like Brooks Koepka, who we don't really know too much about until they win something, but they've always been around and they've always been good and solid golfers. But you don't make stars that way. And the marketability of any sport is star-based. In fact, I would argue that the marketability of anything is star-based, but specifically sports, it has to be star-based. You may or may not watch basketball, but you know who LeBron is. You know who Michael Jordan is. You've heard of Kobe Bryant. You may not watch a ton of football, but you know who Peyton Manning, Tom Brady are. Like, you know these guys. Golf doesn't have anybody like that. And just the mere mention of Tiger Woods coming back, the mere mention of Tiger Woods being involved in the Masters generated a buzz around the Masters that lets us know that whether or not we like it, that vacuum for a golf star hasn't been filled. Jordan Spieth is an incredible golfer. I love the way that he was putting over the course of this tournament. I wasn't sure he was going to bring his A game because he had been struggling with the putter before. But I'm a really big fan of Jordan Spieth. University of Texas guy, so he's my guy. But Jordan Spieth is not a rock star. He's really great with the media. He's a nice dude. But he's not a rock star. He doesn't have that, I don't know. He doesn't have that intangible persona that makes you want to watch Jordan Spieth. Golf fans will watch and appreciate Jordan Spieth. Your casual fan that tunes into the Masters just to see a great performance, they're not tuning in because Jordan Spieth is this magnetic personality. And I would say the same for any of them. Like, Rory is kind of off-putting. again, talented. He's the closest that we have outside of Tiger, but there's something off-putting about him. Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson, Jason Day, a lot of big-time golfers. And I would say Jason Day's got the personality that's closest. I think if Jason Day could really rip off a few majors, go for a career Grand Slam or something like that, like Jason Day could honestly be the kind of golfer that does generate that buzz. But as of now, we don't have it. Patrick Reed, and he'd have to win a bunch of majors, but Patrick Reed can give you that. I do think that Patrick Reed could give you that because, first off, he's a controversial guy, right? He's known for being a little bit brash. He's known for using all the swear words. You cannot stop Patrick Reed from unleashing a parade of just not child-friendly, not family-friendly words, right? Like if he misses a putt, if he has a drive that goes the wrong way. But there is some charm in a guy that's honest about his personality. And there's some charm about a guy that is himself, whether or not that is someone that's palatable, right? Again, it's something that you see in politics. You saw it with Donald Trump. Like the guy is not, I mean, you could make the argument from all you want to. I don't think that Donald Trump is a really good dude. But the fact that he came across to people as particularly honest is the reason why he got elected, I think. One of the reasons he got elected. And I think that Patrick Reed has that. The guy that's not the perfect guy, but it's an honest imperfection. People can deal with that. People can handle that. That's something that you know and you recognize. He's got a kind of a colored past and can maybe turn this thing around. He is accused of, though not many people admitted this publicly, but when he played at the University of Georgia, he is accused of being insubordinate with coaches and allegedly stealing stuff from his teammates, and that got him kicked off of the University of Georgia golf team. So I don't know like how reliable all that stuff is, but that stuff does swirl around him. He's also in no way humble, which makes him even more controversial because you have guys like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, not really the most humble dude. Kobe Bryant, not really the most humble dude. We're okay with arrogant people. We complain about it and whine about it, but if you're good and if you win, we ultimately get to be okay with you. If Patrick Reed can win, people aren't going to have a problem with the cockiness and the arrogance. In fact, at some point, you get to deify it when it coincides with a great degree of success. So I learned a lot from this Masters about Patrick Reed. He shot the lights out. I mean, the man wound up 15 under for the tournament. He played about as perfect a Saturday and Sunday rounds as you can possibly play. And it was around Saturday that I had to start looking up Patrick Reed stuff because I looked down and I went, who is this guy? I don't know who this person is. And again, he'd been on the Ryder Cups. He's a familiar face, but I don't know much about Patrick Reed beyond the fact that he won the Masters this past weekend. And I had to discover all these things about him. And Patrick Reed, just the way that he carries himself, does have a particular star power persona around him. Now, the only way to test if that's actually true and if this is helpful for golf and the PGA in any kind of way is if Patrick Reed remains in the public eye, if he remains with top 10 finishes, if he remains with winning tournaments, he's going to generate a buzz, and we'll see if that's something that we actually enjoy. The swearing and the bravado and everything else. I mean, there's no way to tell if you can like that until it's time to actually like that, because for some people it falls flat, and for others it totally works. Like, it works for Cam Newton in a way that it does not seem to work for Terrell Owens. Right? Like T.O., completely cocky, arrogant, very good football player, produced on the field, an all-timer, and we had to fight for Terrell Owens to wind up in the Hall of Fame, which is insane. Cam Newton, same thing, but people will defend Cam Newton to the death. And you can make the strong argument that Cam Newton's really not that great of a quarterback. Great player, but not that great of a quarterback. There are some people for whom the arrogance is particularly acceptable and palatable. We decide who that is. Rory, it's off-putting. Patrick Reed, it might not be. It might not be. But I do think that people would prefer a guy like Tiger, where you're just so dominant. Tiger does not come across as arrogant. I do think that Tiger secretly is, because I don't know how you could be the best golfer on the planet and not realize it. I do think he secretly is arrogant, but Tiger would never tell the media that he's the best. He'll never go out there and put his name on it the same way that Patrick Reed had in the past. Patrick Reed, I believe in an old issue of Golf Digest, it said that he thought he was the best golfer in the world. And people looked at him and went, are you crazy? Are you insane? He might be a little insane. But it's something that can be palatable more now because he's won a Masters. And he's potentially going to see if he can put together his golf game so that he can be in much more of these. And maybe he's finally figured it out. You're listening to all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com, 92.7 FM, Sport Talk with Sam Jordan. I'm Keon Rose filling in for Sam Jordan. Another thing about the Masters that I really enjoyed, I did watch all of the Tiger rounds. Listen, I'm a big Tiger fan. Tiger is the reason why I watch golf. So far, as I can tell, I'm the only person that I know that watches golf that does not actually play golf. And that is exclusively because of Tiger Woods. Listen, my dad loves golf. I was my dad's caddy growing up. And when I went with my dad, we'd come home and watch it. And Tiger's black and we're black, so we were all rooting for Tiger. I wound up watching a lot of golf and not playing the game, but appreciating the game. And so I wanted to see how Tiger was going to do this weekend. Tiger was good. He wasn't great. He wasn't bad. He was just good. And that's a little disappointing for some people, but Tiger Woods did not play better. He did lose control on Friday. He almost missed the cut. He had a a double bogey, I think, on the sixth hole. And then he had I think on either the second or the third, he had a bogey. That really set him back. He didn't play very well on Friday. On Saturday and Sunday, honestly, he was pretty good. And I thought on Sunday, he had a very strong finish. And this is something that we've seen Tiger get into these situations where he's about to not make the cut. He withdraws from the tournament and all of that stuff. And it was nice to see him continue. It was nice to see him continue through the struggling. Tiger is really good at playing Augusta and should have been better than he was. He had no control over his drive, not his driver, but over his irons on Friday and a little bit of Saturday as well. It was nice to see him finish strong, see if he can gain some momentum. I think Tiger Woods is going to win another major. I don't know if he's going to win much more than one, but I think he is going to win another one. It was nice to see him back. It would have been disappointing had he missed the cut, which he nearly did on Friday. But we had him throughout the weekend, and I think that really made the Masters enjoyable, was that he was just there. And he made some ridiculous shots. I think he had an eagle putt, and he just missed a hole in one. He had some amazing Tiger moments that I think we would have remembered more had he truly been in contention. But like all in all, it was fun watching Tiger over the weekend. It was nice watching Rickie Fowler make that run at the end, really push Patrick Reed and make him earn his Masters green jacket. I was a little mad that Rickie Fowler didn't ultimately win because I like Rickie Fowler a lot. And it feels like Rickie Fowler is like a bridesmaid. Like he's just always constantly second. He's never first. And I'm starting to feel bad for Rickie Fowler. I also feel like Rickie Fowler, how much more can he keep doing this? Like how much longer can Rickie Fowler continue to be like the second, third, fourth place dude in a major tournament? Is that not painful to continue to smack your head against the wall like that? Especially being as talented a golfer as he is. Like one of these tournaments, Rickie's got to put it all together. You would think, right? Like you just have to think that at some point it's going to connect. It's going to coalesce in something absolutely interesting and fascinating for Rickie. But it never really did come together. It really hasn't come together yet. But I think it should. I think it should. You're listening to all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com, 92.7 FM, Sports Talk with Sam Jordan. Keon Rose filling in for Sam Jordan. And I read a news story today. I want to jump over to the NFL really quickly because I read a news story today that made me incredibly sad. And it was that Andrew Luck had not thrown a real football yet. He hasn't thrown a real football. He's thrown a smaller, sort of undersized football. Andrew Luck, quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, he injured his shoulder a couple of seasons ago. And he missed all of last season with the torn, I believe it's the torn rotator cuff on his throwing shoulder. The rehab went poorly. The Colts were not on top of it properly. And I was afraid last year that they ruined Andrew Luck, that they took a guy who has the potential to be a very good football player, in fact, a great football player. We thought, he's the heir apparent to Peyton Manning in the league. And they took him and they ruined him. And I'm looking back at the 2012 draft, because anytime you have the number 1 and number 2 overall picks being as hyped up as Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin III were, that draft is always going to be remembered. And that draft was also loaded with quarterbacks. And Andrew Luck was clearly the best guy in that draft. And yet, is it weird that the guys who are considered the best quarterbacks from that draft right now are Russell Wilson and Nick Foles? And the highest paid quarterback from that draft, if you just look at guaranteed money, is Kirk Cousins. Isn't that strange? We all hoped that Robert Griffin would pan out. We knew that there was a bust factor there, just because he didn't play a lot of pro-style offense. Didn't play a ton under center in college. A read option quarterback, but you thought that maybe he could be converted into something special. And the 2012 season was the most terrifying thing for the NFL, because you thought, well, RG3 is going to be here for about 10 years, terrorizing the league like this. That was a scary year for traditional NFL offenses. And then Andrew Luck, he makes the playoffs. He makes the playoffs the next year, makes it to the second round. He makes the playoffs the next year and makes it to the title game, the conference title game. And it all looked inevitable for Andrew Luck. And then the Colts ruined his shoulder. And the Redskins ruined Robert Griffin III's knee. And you go back to the 2012 draft, and you've got Andrew Luck was the number 1 quarterback taken. Griffin was second. Ryan Tannehill was third, also injured with the Dolphins, was not able to get back on the field. But it's highly suspected that the Dolphins are going to take Baker Mayfield, which I think is a good pick for them. I'm not anti-Baker Mayfield. I love the guy. But I just scratch my head, because I thought we liked Ryan Tannehill. He was making strides as a young quarterback. He was growing and developing. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, Ryan Tannehill, no bueno. We just don't like him. Replace him with Baker Mayfield. Draft another guy. I find that to be puzzling. And so, yeah, the whole Ryan Tannehill thing didn't work out either. Brandon Weeden was old and should never have been drafted in that, where he was taken. Dude was old already, and you just knew that if he didn't get it right away, he wasn't going to get it. The Browns drafted him, which was the worst place for him to go. But Brandon Weeden came into the league, and he was about 72 when he got into the league already. Brock Osweiler could never process the information. Kirk Cousins wound up being taken next, then Nick Foles, then Ryan Lindley, then Russell Wilson. And that stretch of people there, all of those people, with the exception of Ryan Lindley, those are the 3 best guys in that draft. That's wild to me. And so my two thoughts from that story were, wow, the Indianapolis Colts really ruined Andrew Luck. They really ruined him. Because when he comes back from that shoulder, it can't be the same, right? That can't be the same. There's no way his shoulder is the same when he comes back from that injury that they rehabbed poorly. And the guy hasn't thrown a football. He is a football player whose job it is to throw the football. And my guy has not thrown a football in a calendar year or longer. At what point do you realize, the Colts ruined him? That's the first thought. The other thought is, we don't know anything about quarterbacks. We were making all of this fuss about Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen and Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield. And some quarterback is going to wind up being successful from that draft. And I promise you it's going to be some guy we don't know about right now, right? Like it's going to be some complete mystery, dude. You're listening to Sports Talk with Sam Jordan on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. Chatter, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
Vandals destroyed parts of an unopened bike trail at Enterprise South, destroying signs and defacing maps. The 5.5-mile trail was nearly finished, and a grand opening is scheduled for this Saturday. Southern Off-Road Bicycle Association volunteers working to build the trail system found the damage Friday morning and believed it was done overnight. The trail is still going to open despite the damage done. Cops say a woman found sleeping downtown robbed a bank, but only stole keys. Zygnovia Charles was found asleep inside the First Tennessee Bank on Market Street by a security guard. She ran away, but later was caught and is charged with burglary of a business. The race for the school board is heating up in Hamilton County. So far, 10 candidates have qualified for the race in Districts 3, 5, 6, 8, and 9. I'll say John for Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7, News Now.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val, weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM.
Expect fair skies to continue through your nighttime. Quite cool again overnight. Lows 40 to 43. For your Tuesday, looking good. Lots of sunshine. Afternoon highs into the lower to middle 60s. Chilly again tomorrow night. Lows upper 30s with lots of sunshine and a nice warming trend for the midweek. Tired of the pressures and hassles of car shopping? Don't see why more people are making the short drive to Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Lafayette or online at jacksongm.com. That's Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Lafayette. And I'm Soaring G12. You can hear all of your factor for.
Here's what advertisers will say. Nooga Radio.
Radio station, they really care. They're always calling me probably once a week, checking on me, seeing how things go, and see if they want to change any of the ads or do anything different, see what my needs are. I've gotten business off the ads that you do for me, and seems to be working well at this point.
Prices were very fair. Areas in this town that we aren't able to get other ways, your radio station is able to help us out, and I really appreciate that.
We've been very pleased with the services we've got. It seems like everybody over there cares about what they're going to do, how it's going to work for us on this end, and we've been very impressed with the creativity of the ads that we've heard, and they always seem to be right on point.
I've been doing business with News Talk Radio for quite some time. It's the best place and the best value you can get for your advertisement. The commercials are great. They're very professional. I was actually blown away.
The commercial that they put together was awesome. It was way far above all the other radio stations we've dealt with. The best we've had yet, guaranteed.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM.
Hear that? It's not what you think. That, my friend, is the new 2018 Indian Chieftain Dark Horse. Yes, Indian Motorcycle. It's more than a bike. It's an American icon. And Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga is the only place you'll find their new 2018 line. There's also a great selection of pre-owned bikes ready to roll, and all the gear you need to hit the open road. If you're thinking of joining the club, go to Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga. Just look at the sign on 153 and Anacola. Indian Motorcycle, the true American original.
Your Chattanooga Lookouts are back. Opening day, Thursday, April 5th, 6:15 p.m. featuring post-game fireworks. Get your tickets today at lookouts.com.
Chattanooga Paint and Decorating would like to remind you it's that time of year again. Spring has sprung, summer just around the corner. The temperature is perfect for outdoor entertaining. But are you ready? Is your house a little dingy? Does your fence need a coat of stain? Is your deck showing wear? If you've got work to do, Chattanooga Paint and Decorating can help. For exterior paint, stain, sealants, and supplies, stop by Chattanooga Paint and Decorating today on Pateson Pike across from Valvoline or on ChattanoogaPaint.com. Get an extra 10% off. Just say you heard it on the radio.
Mom's Furniture, her boxes of paperback romances, Mom's Estate. Oh, call Dan. Dan will help you get on with your life. Let Dan clear the old house. Take care of everything. He'll hand you a nice check. 314-4034. Dan the Cleanup Man. 314-4034. In this moment, who has your back? Do you know the name of your insurance agent? Does your agent know your name? Or would you call a 1-800 number that connects you with who? Another state? Another country? Get a local independent insurance agent with Auto Owners Insurance. Someone you can call when bad stuff happens. In this moment, get an agent who will protect you in that moment. Let Goss Insurance in Chattanooga help you today. GossInsurance.wordpress.com. Goss, representing Auto Owners Insurance, the no problem people. GossInsurance.com. Goss. GossInsurance.com, representing Auto Owners Insurance, the no problem people. 875-2500, 875-2500.
Are you brain dead? Still voting for pathetic liberals? Take 3 hours with Sean Hannity from 3 to 6. Nuga Radio. Then call us in the morning between 9 and 11. 92.7 Nuga Radio. It's the moment you've been waiting for. Sam Jordan's Nuga Radio, 92.7 Sports. Now.
So there was something I forgot to mention when I was talking about the Masters, of just things that I saw that I liked that I thought was interesting. Tony Finau, who, if you recall, ruined his whole ankle right before the Masters started. He hit a hole-in-one in the par 3 competition the day before the Masters, and he dislocated his ankle. He dislocated celebrating, which that to me is really where the salt meets the wound. He was celebrating the hole-in-one, landed awkwardly, dislocated his ankle, and I completely forgot about Tony Finau. And I was looking through the leaderboard. Tony Finau finished 7 under par. He tied for 10th. And there's pictures on social media of Tony Finau's ankle. And all I have to say is, what a warrior. What a warrior. He played on that. His whole foot is swollen. His whole foot is swollen. There's not a foot there. It's just, it goes from toes to leg immediately. I believe the word that he used on his social media, on I think it was Instagram, was cankle. Yeah, it's a cankle. It goes from his knee directly into his ankle. There's nothing there. It's just swelling. His leg is gone. It's swelling. And he finished 7 under with that? Yeah, what a warrior. Tony Finau, absolutely. I didn't realize he was still playing in the tournament. On that ankle? Again, I've mentioned this many times before. I am a weenie. Under no circumstances will I stick it through any amount of pain. I'm not obligated to. You don't get awards for fighting through pain and injury. There are some jobs where fighting through pain and injury is required. And I've worked a lot of jobs that I don't like. But at none of those jobs were, if I dislocated my ankle, am I going to work? I have not shown up for work for far less. For much less. you gotta love the game. I have not showed up for work for far less than what Tony Finau just did. He tied it for 10 with a complete, like, his ankle is completely jacked. Don't look that up online if you're eating, by the way. I mean, when I say his ankle is ruined, I mean, it's ruined. He better rest for the next 90 days because he's earned it. He's completely earned that. I would not play the Masters. I mean, understand, playing the Masters is something that's hard to do. Just being in the position to play there is the dream of a lifetime. Has to be the dream of a lifetime. But it is insane, the notion that you could play on a dislocated ankle. Our news director, Russell Stroud, was telling me that he's dislocated his ankle before when I told him about the Tony Finau thing. And he was saying, yeah, it's not fun and it's horrible and you wouldn't wish it on anybody. The dude finished the Masters with it? Yeah, monster Tony Finau. So, wanted to talk a little bit of baseball. Should I go Braves or should I go Ohtani? Let me start with the Braves because the Braves play the Nationals tonight. And if you recall what happened to the Nationals the last time they ran across the Braves, they got bodied. Okay, the Braves handed the Nationals their own behinds back to them on a platter. They didn't have any answers. The Braves knocked around Max Scherzer, which I did not suspect was possible for the Braves, only in as much as I've never seen them do it. As long as Max Scherzer has been a National, I've never seen the Braves have success against Scherzer. Not only did they have success against Scherzer, they destroyed him. They completely took him apart. They took apart A.J. Cole the day before last week in the series. And then they went on to beat up the Rockies, too. And the Rockies are a pretty decent baseball team. So to start off, the Braves have beaten the Phillies. They've won every series that they've played. They've beaten the Phillies. They've beaten the Nationals. And the Nationals are a legit playoff team, as well as the Rockies. The Rockies were a playoff team as well last year. So the Braves are not pounding scrubs. They're beating good baseball teams. They play the Nationals again tonight, the start of this series up in Washington. And I want to know, how for real are we supposed to be taking the Braves? Because they've played well, but I think that there's a certain level that they've played over their head. How good is Folty? Can Folty be as good as he's been? Because he completely suppressed the Nationals lineup the last time they played them. He completely suppressed Bryce Harper, struck them out, and had the second strikeout in the third game of that series. Made Bryce Harper look silly. I don't think Folty can do that again, can he? The Preston Tucker has been hitting so well. The dude looks like Ted Turner. And I'm saying that non-sarcastically, no sarcasm at all. The numbers that he's putting up are insane. That can't keep up, right? Like we know he can play. I don't want to make it seem like Preston Tucker can't play. But if Preston Tucker could have played like this, we would have seen it. We would have noticed. He does have hitting ability because he did hit. I think he hit 27 homers when he was down in the minors. He can clearly hit, but he is putting up numbers that are Hall of Fame-ish. And again, the sample size is small. I do have to point that out. But the Braves look horrifying. And the Nationals look bad. They do, because they left. I mean, after they lost to the Braves, they went out and just got destroyed by the Mets. I don't think they won a single game against the Mets. The Nationals have a lot of stuff to figure out. They are dealing with some injuries. I think they did lose Trey Turner. But I don't see any excuses there for that baseball team. There's no reason for them to look as inept as they do. They aren't doing a very good job pitching. That issue of them not having any relief pitching is starting to rear its ugly head even earlier in the season now than it did last year. Last year, there was a point in the middle of the season where the Nationals couldn't win baseball games. Didn't have any middle relievers. None. Absolutely none. Is it possible for the Braves to win another series against the Washington Nationals? As much as I want to say that the Braves will come crashing back down to earth, it's very possible that they win another series against the Nats. The Nationals are a team in complete disarray right now. And the Braves aren't. The Braves aren't. And you could make the very strong argument that at the beginning of the season, when the Braves were playing the Phillies and they were playing at SunTrust and they were down 5-0, if they don't come back and win the season opener, maybe we don't see a Braves team that is as confident as they are now. They are incredibly confident. I think what ends up happening if we lose, if the Braves lose that season opener, I think there's a certain level of here we go again that settles into the locker room, that settles into the mindset, and maybe you don't have what they're doing right now. But the Braves have absolutely no reason to doubt themselves. They have no reason to believe that they can't beat Washington because they trashed them already twice. And just because you're playing in Washington, I understand playing on the road is different. But either the real Nationals show up or you stomp them out. Whichever one happens. Because the Nationals can hit better than they have been hitting, and certainly they can pitch better than they have been pitching. You have to think so. Like, are the Braves absolutely legitimate? Maybe. That is distinctly possible. You're listening to All New Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com, 92.7 FM, Sports Talk with Sam Jordan. I'm Keon Rose, filling in for Sam Jordan, and we'll be filling in for Sam Jordan, by the way, for the rest of the week. Sam Jordan is going to be handling a lot of administrative stuff around the station, so I'm going to let him do that. I'll be the middle reliever. How about that? I'll be the closer. So, Shohei Ohtani is the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, which is just a silly name, by the way. How can you be the Angels of? How can you be a team of two cities at once? The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim? Are you serious? But anyway, yeah, no, that he's from Japan, and Ohtani is one of those guys that's rare in the history of baseball. Babe Ruth was a pitcher, and he became a hitter, and he's arguably the most prolific hitter in baseball history during the stretch of time that he was hitting. But Shohei Ohtani is a different thing entirely. First off, I didn't think that as a modern baseball fan, as a baseball fan watching today's game, you'd see a guy that could pitch that well. And Ohtani's a great pitcher, but could also hit that well. Ohtani is 3 for 4 since the season's begun. He's hit bombs. This isn't a guy that's just good for a pitcher, which I would settle for. I've always been impressed with CC Sabathia because Sabathia is a guy that when he's gotten the chances to hit, and he hasn't had to since he's been a Yankee because he's in the American League, but anytime he's gotten the chance to hit, CC Sabathia is a guy that's very impressive because he's a brilliant pitcher, and he's one of those guys that hits really good for a pitcher. Shohei Ohtani doesn't just hit great for a pitcher. Shohei Ohtani hits great for a hitter. Shohei Ohtani has been the first player since Babe Ruth to strike somebody out and hit a homer in consecutive games. We've never seen that. It should not happen again. In the modern version of baseball, which has become such a specialist sport, it shouldn't be possible to do in Los Angeles what Shohei Ohtani is doing. What he is doing is insane by any metric. And when you're a kid, by the way, that's a dream. The hitter who can also pitch and do both at an elite level, you play on the playground that stuff is real. Because it's not. Shohei Ohtani is an alien. Has to be. How do you explain that? Because I heard that he hit a home run. I haven't watched any of the games live, but I heard that he hit a home run, and I have MLB extra innings on my phone, so I get highlights just sent to me constantly. Mostly of stuff I don't want to see because my fantasy baseball team is a tragedy. So it's mostly just reasons why I'm losing fantasy baseball. But I got the Ohtani highlights, and it's mind-boggling. And by the way, let this be yet another lesson to us as to why it is that you don't take stuff seriously from spring training, because he was terrible in spring training. He didn't hit well in spring training. He didn't pitch well either. And there was some murmurings and some rumors that, hey, we might have to send Shohei Ohtani back down to the minors a little bit. And the Angels, I think, did the wise thing by upfront saying, no, we're not going to send him down. We're going to let him ride out the slump. Yeah, he was just in spring training. That's it. Spring training gives you an idea as to how good a guy can be or as to how bad a guy is, but you just can't take it as gospel because since the regular season has started, he has been nothing short of absolutely incredible. I'm going to try and find some time this week to watch him play because you're never going to see this again in your lifetime, probably. I mean, maybe he makes it popular for that to be something kids try and emulate Shohei Ohtani, maybe, but I don't know. The way that he pitches and the way that he hits, I have the distinct feeling that God only made one of those. there isn't a whole lot of those floating around the universe. There's one, and he's an angel. Maybe literally, but he's playing baseball at such a high level. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that, and I can't help but be absolutely and totally impressed. You're listening to all new Nuga Radio, NugaRadio.com on 92.7 FM. Thank you for joining us today, making this just a small part of your day. You know that I appreciate each and every one of you. And look, I'm messed up a little bit by the whole Johnny Manziel thing because I'm not entirely certain how to feel about Johnny Manziel. I think that Johnny Manziel has done a really good job of getting himself together, getting his life together. And he played in a spring game, and he looked pretty good. He threw a touchdown pass that was really exciting in the way that all Johnny Manziel touchdown passes are exciting, in which he was running for his life. He threw a pass off his back foot like you're not supposed to, and it found its target essentially immediately. It was the most accurate pass I've ever seen from a person throwing a football in that position. And a lot of scouts showed up to watch him play, and it became apparent to me, like, Johnny Manziel, I think, still does have what it takes to be an NFL quarterback. Physically, he's got all the tools. And if Johnny Manziel has the maturity, and nobody wants him to have the maturity, and nobody wants that to be real more than me, because I just think people deserve second chances. I think people deserve to be able to make mistakes in their life, to be dumb young people, and to pull themselves together. And Johnny Manziel says he had a lot of mental health stuff and a lot of mental health issues, which that's a very serious thing. And if he's gotten himself sorted out, he deserves a chance to try in a state of mind that's healthy for him. I think he deserves to try. But he can have a shot. It's just, where would he go? Who would give Johnny Manziel an opportunity, given how it all went for him the last time? And I was thinking about it, and I think it's got to be the Chiefs. I think it's got to be Andy Reid. First off, they have Patrick Mahomes, who they drafted as a rookie last year. Mahomes didn't play really any games. He played in some garbage time moments. They like him enough, and they're confident enough in him to have moved on from Alex Smith. But I don't know if Patrick Mahomes is a guarantee. And I think if you're going to be taking a gamble on Patrick Mahomes, why not also take a gamble on Johnny Manziel, a guy that you know maybe can play, who's already taken a turn in the NFL, and you know is going to be bouncing back from a lot of immaturity issues, and is going to be a different version of Johnny Manziel, the guy with his head screwed on straight. I think that's fascinating, and I want to see him get another shot. I do. Right? I could turn this into a giant thing about how could he get a shot before Kaepernick gets another shot, but I think we know why Kaepernick's not playing. With Johnny Manziel, I think it would be unclear to me why he wouldn't get another chance. Just given how desperate this league is for guys who can play the quarterback position, I think if Johnny Manziel can play and become anything like what you thought he could be when he was originally drafted, I think you've got to give him the shot. I think you've got to give him the shot. You're listening to Nuga Radio 92.7 FM. So I want to switch gears here over to something that I do not talk about very often, and that is wrestling. Because WrestleMania 34 was over the weekend. And I talk about wrestling, not to be confused with wrestling. The Mocs have a very good wrestling team. Wrestling. Wrestling is not the same thing as wrestling. And Ronda Rousey used to be in the UFC, where she did jiu-jitsu, but also wrestled very well. And Ronda Rousey's now a wrestler. She's in the WWE. And Ronda Rousey, as a wrestler, is very entertaining. I didn't realize how entertaining she was actually going to be, because I find Ronda Rousey to be one of those people devoid entirely of a personality. She doesn't really have one besides just anger. her face always seems to portray, I want to hit you in the face. Like, even when she was on Ellen a few years back, it just seemed to me like she wanted to hit somebody. And maybe that's just her face, but that's what it looked like. Like, I didn't see her personality. I saw her desire to punch a thing. So she was in WrestleMania 34, and somebody forgot to tell Ronda Rousey that she was wrestling and not wrestling, because she was punching people, right? Like hitting them very hard. And she locked up Vince McMahon's daughter, I forget her name, in an armbar that looked like a very real armbar. And I have to tell you, if she was acting, I could not tell. I couldn't tell. She looked like she legitimately was trying to kill every person that she was fighting. And that would be like if you casted Tom Cruise in a movie and then he had a real gun and he was actually shooting people. Somebody forgot to tell Ronda Rousey that none of this is supposed to be real, because she was really going in on people. And I was worried for their safety, which means I have to reinstitute Ronda Rousey back onto the All Dark Alley team, which is the team that you would least like to see in a Dark Alley. I had to remove her from the list after she lost in the UFC, because I thought, well, any one of those fighters could replace her. No, Ronda Rousey still terrifies me on a deep, deep level. She's very pretty, but also quite terrifying. Ronda Rousey, back on the All Dark Alley team. You're listening to Nuka Radio 92.7 FM. Sports Talk with Sam Jordan, Keon Rose filling in. Clutch with Keon Rose is next.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val.